Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Markets today were, well, ended the day, the trading session at least, with a small run. So the indices ended up in green, but by a very minor amount. I do believe that the market right now is in a wait and see mode. There's a lot of variables that it's tough to get a read on right now. We'll talk about them right now, and they are really determining market sentiment. That being said, I do believe that the part of the cycle, if we zoom out and look at the 4 year cycles that we've been in, we are still in the, let's say, the fourth quarter of a bull run. There may be a pullback, but I don't think the bull run is over, in case you are concerned about that. There may be a pullback, and we'll talk about, uh, what are some near-term targets for a pullback, particularly in crypto. We'll talk about Bitcoin. We'll also talk about some headlines as well that are sort of adding wrinkles to the wait and see. So if you enjoyed this live, do leave a like. And if you'd like to see us as we snipe different opportunities and what we're buying, then do become a PIF member. Link to do so is in the description, and join our community. The more uh, intelligent people we have in our community, the more value there is there. All right. So with regards to the yield on the 10-year Treasury, it is up 1.65%. This is something that we don't want to see, right? We want to see the yield on the 10-year come down. I do believe that it will come down, but it is a matter of horizon. In the next few weeks, it's very hard to tell. But there is a refinancing of $7 trillion that the United States has to do this year. And this means that interest rates need to come down. And so I do believe that even though there's a lot of talk about tariffs and other potentially inflationary measures, they will be walked back when their impact and potential ramifications that they have on things like interest rates are fully comprehended. I think those things are going to be walked back, and the market will rejoice when they are. If we take a look at some of the names that we have spoken about recently on this channel, Tesla is basically flat. BitDeer gave a good opportunity for those who are bullish on the name. They'll report earnings later this week. Iris Energy is still flat since its earnings, hasn't really done much since its earnings. Intel is up 16%. We spoke about Intel last week, and basically there's talks now that TSMC and Qualcomm may actually split up the Intel business and basically take over some or all of its parts. And the market seems to like this, and to like the fortunes of Intel stock in case that this happens. Bitcoin is at 95,000, Doge is at 25, Sol is at 168. Took a real big beating Sol has in the past 5 days. So past 5 days it peaked at 205. Now we're at 168. Trump coin is down. Speaking about a beating, Trump coin in the last 5 days, it has peaked at 24. It's down to 16. So yeah, lost about a third of its value. That's par for the course when you're investing in garbage like that. All right, so the major sort of question mark is the probability for an interest rate cut, when the interest rate cut will come, and the degree to which we'll get a cut, 25 or 50 basis points. If you look at the March meeting, this is basically a done deal for the market. We're talking about only a 2.5% chance of a 25 basis point cut. If you go out to something like May, the probability of a cut becomes bigger. June, the same. And basically, you have to go out to September to get a more than likely probability of a cut, with rates staying the same only at 30%. Now, I do believe that the next inflation reading may come out bullish for a interest rate cut, that is, increase the probability of an interest rate cut sooner. I am looking at different measures, one of them being true inflation. We did get a spike up here in the last couple of days, but if you look at since the start of February, the rate of inflation, real inflation, has has fallen, and so it's a matter of whether or not or how soon this is going to show up in the inflation readings. So, looking at something like this, which takes a measurement daily, this kind of tells me that perhaps we'll get some daylight here with regards to progress on inflation in the upcoming inflation reads. Maybe not the next one, maybe the one after that, who knows. But this will bode well for risk assets who have really suffered from hotter than expected inflation reads that have caused markets generally and crypto specifically to pull back in a big way. There's also a lot of geopolitical stuff happening right now. So obviously, Trump tariffs are top of mind. Now, good thing is Trump hasn't really made a headline regarding tariffs since his talk about reciprocal tariffs. I talked about tariffs on the live last week, and I mentioned that reciprocal tariffs wouldn't really have that much of an impact on the U.S. economy or prices because of the differences. And when you take those differences and account for the actual trade with the countries with which we have differences in tariffs, they don't really amount to much. I think the headline is a lot more scary than if you actually look at the data and see what it's going to cost. And so, all the tariff headlines have caused U.S. consumers to rush to buy uh, certain products that they think may go up in price, consumer products. And this could cause some wonky numbers with regards to inflation, in the near term. But over time, as I mentioned, I do think there's going to be a walking back of the talk about tariffs. They're not going to be as severe as many people are expecting. And I do believe people are going to get used to the saber rattling that Trump is going to do, and markets will probably become less volatile than they have been. If we look at other geopolitical news, so it does appear that Russia and the US are talking with regards to ending the conflict in Ukraine. This would be very good for energy prices. Energy prices coming down will bring down inflation across the board. So that will be something that is welcome for the market if a deal is able to be struck and the war there is ended. That being said, Europe isn't really hot on or isn't really excited about the terms that the U.S. is talking about with regards to an end of the conflict with Ukraine. So, but then again, Europe on its own can't really support Ukraine's war effort because they don't produce anything except for regulation. So they need the US. If the US is out, then it's tough for Europe to continue to fight on its own, at least in their current state. Now let's go to Bitcoin and talk about where I see some support perhaps. So the short-term holder realized price is around 92,000. That has acted as decent support in the past. If you look previously, there are instances obviously where we had a dip below the short-term holder realized price, but it wasn't really by a lot. If you go back to let's say July of 2024, short-term holder realized price was 64,000. Bitcoin dropped to 56,000. So in the ballpark. So I do believe that 92,000, the ballpark around it, is really will act as support, unless of course we get some very strong liquidations, forced selling by holders that could obviously change that. But those periods of forced selling and the price impacts that it has on an asset are typically very short lived. So you'll see basically a spike downwards and then it will pop back up. So that's where I see things right now. If you look at the Bitcoin ETF inflows, they did post a positive week after 4 consecutive negative weeks. So we did get a net inflow into the BTC ETFs last week after having 4 consecutive weeks of outflows, which is good to see. All right, with that, let's take questions very quickly. Salam, everyone. Nice of you all to join. Elon tweeted that there is no gold. I did hear about, Rashad, I did hear about the Elon asking to audit the gold reserves for the United States. So that could really impact the price of gold. What is the price of gold doing today? Yeah, we're near all-time highs here, 29.35 for gold. It's been a good investment so far. I do think, I think portfolios with 5 to 10% gold makes sense at this point. And some ETFs that you can buy to hold physical gold are BAR, BAR is one ETF that I know that holds physical gold and has a decent decent management fee. So take a look at that. Sam, trying to subscribe for PIF. Sure. Go ahead and email us, and we'll take care of it for you. Yeah, thanks, Sam. I really appreciate you providing that email. Dr. Boss, assalamu alaikum. Very good question, Dr. Boss. So do you expect a broadening out of the market from mega cap to mid to small cap stocks? I think if you look at the valuations, the relative valuations of mega cap stocks versus the mid to small caps are a lot more attractive. And so, yes, the answer to your question is yes, there should be a broadening out here because mega caps are basically fully valued at this point. And there are so many really cool companies that are up and coming that are working on technologies that are very interesting and have the potential to 5, 10, 100x. So I do think that you're going to see a lot of small and mid cap stocks do very well in the next 24, 36 months. They'll make a lot of people rich. Yeah. Unfortunately, Europe only produces regulations nowadays. You go to Europe, it's Chinese manufacturing and American software. That's basically what sustains them. Kilo for Canadians as an ETF for gold, I'm assuming. Thank you, Ulrich Beck. Appreciate that. I can't wait for you to join, Hussam. Looking forward to it. We'll for sure take care of that issue for you. No worries at all. And big shout out to your friend for providing his affiliate link for you. By the way, if you are a PIF member, you'd like to earn some money and provide a discount for other PIF members, use your affiliate link to share the PIF membership page with them. When they sign up, they get, I believe it's 35% off. You get 35%. I believe that's true. Oh, or 15%, 15%. Yeah, no, I think it's 15, 15. But hey, it's free money. And hopefully it will pay off manyfold for the person who signs up, inshallah. So you're doing them a favor. All right. So leave a like if you enjoyed this live. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And hey, if there's any companies that you'd like me to look into, because I'd like to do more sort of deeper dives on these lives, looking into different companies. If there are companies you'd like me to look into, leave them in the comments. I'd really appreciate that. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be upon you all.